I don't think that these two have ever played against each other because they kind of come from a different era of games. I think I've looked it up on Aligalek, but I don't think... So yeah, that also explains why they maybe don't know each other. If you type Optimist in Aligalek, it still says Team Roddy. But he was only on Team Roddy for like 3 or 4 months. I did not kick him, but he reached out to me and he said, like, I just don't really feel like playing, so I don't think I should be on the team. And I said that that's totally fine. It was very sweet of him. Feel like a lot of other players have just been on the team without playing. So we raid the boy, even though he gave me my most painful Stormgate experience so far. Absolute worst game of Stormgate that I have played in the 40 or 50 hours that I have played, but I guess he just tried something new. Let's do it. Another PvT. Yep, you guys can start. 2 guys from the UK that were unfamiliar with each other. Different era of gamers. I think GamerRichy is quite a bit older. How old is GamerRichy? I feel like he's been around for a while. 94, so it's not that old. He's like 30. Optimist, probably 20, 21, something like that. GamerRichy is the dad. The dad gamers are dangerous. I believe Artosis is still dominating those Brood War lands. So. He's a youngster. Compared to me, yes.
Let's get it on.
Round 1. Fight!
Shout out to my man Embidrake and Pi. Appreciate it, guys. 81 years of pure Letot ape. We'll take it. Second PvT of the night. The last PvT of the night. Unless we play a couple of ladder games later. But bottom left side of Elisione. We are looking at the main base of Berserker Esports' very own Optimist. I didn't actually know that he joined Berserker Esports. A man who's also been playing some Stormgate, playing the Celestials, and he loves the cannons, or the towers, whatever they have. Defensive towers, too many of them. In the top right side, I wanted to invite this man when they had the UK versus Spain showdown in the Big Brain Bouts. But there was just no room. I couldn't find a suitable opponent for him. Players were either too high ranked or too low ranked. And I said I would make it up to him. I would find a different night where he could play. Tonight is that night. In the top right side, from the UK, GamerRichy. Playing on their G-balls. So we're just gonna call him GamerRichy. Richie could have taken Aquarel. Eva had to take out Aquarel. It was close, but... When I play against Optimist, it's very standard. I feel like the man just kind of looks at what the best gamers in the world do and it kind of copies them. So throughout this best of 5, I expect him to open up with Twilight Council a lot, go up to 3 bases of either 2 gates or 3 gates, and just make Colossus and Zealots. So I think it's going to be very similar to that first game we saw between Magneth and our friend Maya. Let's hope that these games are a little longer and a little more back and forth. Even though that first game was decent, the other 3 were basically over after 1 fight. No, I don't think we're going to see too many Oracles in this matchup. I'd be very surprised. It's not that I think Oracles are always bad. I just think if you want to play Oracles, you have to go double Oracle. I just think single Oracle into Phoenix in this matchup, it is so rare that it pays off. And I feel like it's such a high risk, low reward scenario. Yeah, I just don't think it's really worth it. Even for really good players that have done it many times in the past, like Showtime, I feel like it's very rarely worth it. But double Oracle, I can kind of get behind double Oracle. Double Oracle into Blink, if you can keep the Terran busy, know what you're up against, keep them at home. It could work. It is going to be Adepts into a Twilight Council, so it's double Adept into a Stalker, and he's actually using Chrono Boost. Oracle Charge Lock. Feels like that's a unit combo where the Terran just needs to stay at home for a little while until they've got enough Marines, 20 plus Marines, and then I think they're always going to take a good fight. Is this wall of good? It looks pretty good. It is good. So GamerRichy going double Reaper Hellion with a Widowmine at home. Building a second Widowmine, so obviously assume that we are looking for a Widowmine drop. Could even be triple Widowmine. I don't know if that would quite line up. It wouldn't really can also go for 2 mines and a couple of marines inside of the medevac. The world is his oyster. First Reaper, however, just ran into the Adept and the Stalker and it dies. A second Reaper is also gonna die here, no matter how good that grenade is. Once in every 100 times you can save your Reaper there, but if even Clem and Beyond mess that up very often, you just know that it's borderline impossible. It was good. That was a good effort, but legit 1 in 100 times I feel like you're gonna save that Reaper. Got 2 more Rexes coming online, so that is all very standard. OpTiMiStC is playing triple gate robo. He's actually taking the gases already in his natural, so maybe he just wants to play with a very quick robo bay, get some Colossus out and take the games from there. If you're very confident in this matchup, it is okay to expand a bit later. But you have to know that there is a moment where the Terran is going to have a lot more units than you. And they're all going to have to be perfectly positioned. The Hellion is a distraction maneuver for the Widowmine drop in the main. But Widowmine drops there is very rarely delivered these days. I do like the retarget. We bought a bit of time with that retarget, but in the end we lost 2 Widowmines and a medevac for a single probe. And that is not something that I think GamerRichy is going to be very happy with. Now with the way that OpTiMiStC is playing, with the relatively late third base and all the gases and the quick robo bay, there should still be a moment where the Terran has a lot of units. And maybe we can find an opening somewhere. He's actually going up to 5 Rexes of 2 bases. Observers should scout this. And we'll scout it, yep. Aggressively, I don't think there are many options here for OpTiMiStC. You can try to do your absolute best to find a marine here. Maybe eventually feel like there's an opening to blink into the main base, but at this point, nothing you can do. You can keep the Stalkers here. You can contain your opponent a little bit. If OpTiMiStC was playing anything other than the quick robo bay with 4 gas, I would say this should be an SCV pool. But I feel like we have seen that. Yeah, he knows about most of it. Even knows about the robo bay. To me, it kind of feels that an SCV pool doesn't make a lot of sense into Colossus. So I guess we're just gonna drop a very late third base, but we're gonna try to find damage with our move out of tanks, marines, marauders, medevacs, liberators. The army of GamerRichy is gonna be big. It's gonna have potential. It's gonna be pretty powerful. But the fact that we're not gonna have a third base forever is obviously somewhat scary. Keeping an eye on the boys. Stalkers doing their thing, buying some time, kiting, picking up one marine at a time. This is obviously what you need to do. Current Colossus count is 1. Second Colossus 70% done. Warping in a few Stalkers. As Zealot charge only gets started now. Oh my goodness. I actually feel pretty worried about the fact that Zealot charge is so late. We already have 5 Zealots, but we're not going to have charge forever. That Observer is useful and it is going to stay alive. I think the first tank should already siege up. Yeah, I like that play. You don't really want to find yourself in a moment where all 3 tanks are on siege. This is going to be a very difficult hold for OpTiMiStC, who's going to go for a hallucinated Archon. Behind this, by the way, guys, GamerRichy is expanding. Stalkers finding a Liberator, that's actually kind of nice. The few Marines and the few Marauders put up such a good fight. I mean, this is good. Good play by the young man. But GamerRichy feels there's an opening in the natural. Colossus does come out. And what a perfect moment for the Colossus to come out. But the Marines will actually kill it. But perhaps not all that perfect, because the rest of the army was not here. And GamerRichy splits off like 5 Marines to run into the natural too. Tiny recall gets used. Now the main bio army thinks about going for the battery. Maybe one of the tanks, I think this tank should unsiege and get a bit closer. I like keeping this one here. You can maybe move it to this area, but I think this one should come to this area. It's already a beautiful attack there by GamerRichy. It's lovely execution. He's playing this really well. Battery overcharge is available, but the battery is going to get picked off immediately, so he does use overcharge, but it doesn't really have much of an impact. The slow zealots are leading the charge. Liberator siege up. I don't really believe in this fight for the Protoss, but as long as the Colossus stay alive, we do have a chance. If we stay away from the circles, and he actually kills the tank, kills the lip on the top, it's a sick fight. Legitimately a very, very sick fight by OpTiMiSt. If he handled that even 10% worse, I think he gets obliterated. I'm not necessarily loving the position that he's currently in, but excellent cleanup there. That could have gone really bad because almost all of his units were armored. There were 3 tanks still standing there. 3 tanks and 2 liberators. It's impressive that he held that. He now feels that he can counterattack immediately because he's the man with 2 Colossus and he feels that his opponent does not have an answer for those 2 Colossus. You know what? He might be onto something. Couple force fields get dropped. SCVs obviously are not going to make the difference against the big giraffes. Liberators are harassing, I assume. Nope, they are looking for a rest. With a blink, by the way, he kills the orbital. One forward blink and he kills the orbital. OpTiMiSt. It's actually sick. Now the lips are going to hurt. We have a liberator in the natural, liberator in the third. But killing the third base is massive. Oh no, 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 he leaves a Colossus behind. That is actually a disaster. Because it kind of feels that this ball has so much potential. That is, I think, by far and away the best purification nova that you're going to see throughout the night. Gets a couple of the buy units, gets 11 SCVs too. A clown fiesta of a game between these two. But I'm starting to really like it for our Protoss. The young man, all he needs to do is hold one more time. But GamerRichy feels there is simply no way. OpTiMiSt with a... Man, let's take another look at that hold. It was such a good hold. Actually, such a good hold. Because he had to fight with slow zealots too. And the battery overcharge didn't do anything. We've got 3 tanks and 3 liberators. It's really good walking these stalkers away, letting tanks fight by themselves. The zealots finally with charge in the end, getting on top of bio, keeping the Colossus alive. That's impressive. Very, very impressive by the young man who's making his debut. Has never played in the Big Brain Bouts. Anyway, no, I've played 0 minutes of Zero Space Decade. I've played a lot of Stormgate over the last 5 days. I played a lot of Battle Aces when I could. Some on stream, some off stream, some in LA. I have never played a single minute of Zero Space. It's very hard for me to play different RTS games in general. Because like you have all these muscle memories built in your hands. It's too overwhelming for me to try too many games at once. I looked at it though. I looked at some of the streams and it looks fun, but it doesn't look mega fun as in like I want to install the game and play it immediately.
Round 2, fight!
Bottom right side of Oceanborn, taking the 1-0 lead on his debut, representing the Berserker Esports, the young man, it's OpTiMiSt. Young versus old, guys. In the top left side of Oceanborn, we are looking at the main base of our man from the UK, GamerRichy. Actually, a very solid game. GamerRichy having a bad start, but a great follow-up. In the end, could not get it done. Maybe if we would have had a couple of the Marauders in front of the Marines, and those Marauders would have just stimmed forward, tried to get on top of the Colossus, as long as the Liberators and the tanks are alive, I think you can get away with that. Felt that the Marines were often leading the charge, and that means that a move from the Protoss is going to get the sickest shots off. I didn't even think that he did that much wrong. I mean, maybe the build is a tiny bit outdated, the 5 racks before the 3rd CC, but that's not necessarily bad. That's just a choice. I liked it. I was impressed, but even more impressed by his opponent. OpTiMiSt once more going Cybercore before Nexus, which I think is the superior way to open. Especially if your opponent is willing to be aggressive, and I think GamerRichy has already showed that. Could steal the gas here if he wants to. Seems like that's something that doesn't really fit in his build order, but I actually recommend doing this. If you can do it, I do recommend doing it. It's very annoying if you're Protoss. Because most of the Protoss builds are very, very tight. Is he gonna 3-Rex, guys? It's not the greediest version ever of the 3-Rex because he's opening over the Reaper, but it's still a Reaper into a reactor. I like it. Never seen the build lose. And Oceanborn is a map that a lot of Protoss players do like to play Stargate on. And I think 3-Rex is pretty good against Stargate. Maybe not at the highest level of video gaming, but OpTiMiStC is damn good, but he's obviously not exactly a hero or max spec, so it's not going to be that easy to pick a build like that apart. But it's going to be Twilight Council once more. If OpTiMiStC goes for the same build, he could be fine, but it's not a guarantee. Because last game he did keep the units at home for a long time. Oh, he might get the victory. Oh, that's actually sick. That's very well done by GamerRichy. Giving his opponent the idea he should go for the Reaper. And because he went for the Reaper, the SCV could finish up the command center. Now the Reaper is very close to dying, does not die in the end. The fact that he only lost one SCV and there was no delay on the CC is actually very good. So OpTiMiStC, his build can be good against 3-Rex. But he needs to know that it is 3-Rex first of all. And then he needs to go out and about with the Stalkers. He needs to get the Stalkers here almost ASAP. And he needs to start chipping away at that army. If we keep 2-3 Stalkers in the main, 2-3 Stalkers in the natural to defend against the drop, Hellions, Cyclones, whatever. And the Bio makes to the other side of the map with that. Even with 4 gases, even with a Robo, I think we're dead. And even with a single shield battle. Maybe with double. Oh, he goes 4 gate this time. Last game it was 3 gate, this game is 4. That might work out very well for him. That additional warp in can actually really make the difference. Still just a single gas on the side of GamerRichy. That means that his factory is going to be even later than what it normally already is. Don't know if that's standard or not, but Adapt is scouting. How much will it see? I don't think it's going to see a whole lot. The Stalkers will start moving out, but the Bio is already moving out. Is there a world where he pulls SCVs, guys? What? Okay, he's gonna go for a 3rd base before a factory. That's so crazy to me. But okay. These armies miss each other, but that is honestly much, much better news for the Terran player than it is for the Protoss. Because this army kills workers incredibly quick. Meanwhile, this army is gonna have a hard time just dealing with 2 Marauders and Marine at a time. GamerRichy should not turn around. He should stim into the fucking natural and just go ahead and get on top of everything. This is actually, I think, a disaster for OpTiMiStC. Now the Blink Stalkers will have potential. GamerRichy should try to defend as far back as humanly possible. OpTiMiStC knows what's up, so he has pulled all the probes into his main. Will he go for the recall? He goes for the recall. But it's just stim and fight. I feel like he should have gone in a little bit deeper. But I still always believe in the Terran army here. Probes will be pulled. A lot of probes will be pulled, because we mean a lot of probes will go down. The War Prism did not make it, by the way, with the recall. And that is a slow Stalker warp in as well. This is painful for OpTiMiStC. Very, very painful for the man who had taken the 1-0 lead after the game on El Cyane. He will eventually, guys, clean this up. But sweet baby Jesus, is this a lot of damage. This just always favors the Terran. Because the burst damage of the Bio units, the moment you press Stim, the moment you run in, is so much higher than what a couple of Blink Stalkers can accomplish on the other side of the map. The armies missing each other is painful. Because if OpTiMiStC sees his army move out right here, then he can start doing that Protoss thing. Where you keep 5 Stalkers at range, and you pick up 1 Marine at a time. War Prism is in danger, War Prism dies. Yeah, and that is going to do it. That is going to do it. This entire game comes down to this moment. Right here. Where the Stalkers are on the right side and the Bios on the left side. If Bio is here and Stalkers are here, it's perfectly fine for OpTiMiST. If Stalkers are here and Bio is here, perfectly fine. This was the only one of the three that was incredibly rough for him. Yeah, I was just too late, I think, at that point. I mean, I think once the Bio is already below your Stalker army, even then turning around is hard. I think the only thing you could do is immediately recall, but you still need a battery, you still need a Guardian Shield. Keep your profile? You mean on Battle.net? What are these losses with, mate? You must play with a really bad player. Rainer is flexing. Who did we lose to, mate? That Max Packs. Is that Max Packs who put you in your place? And Skillless. Solid win streak, mate. Few more days. Marvin is rooting for you. Alright, second series of the night. We are all tied up.
Round 3. Fight.
Yeah, I was about to say 7,059 though. It's good, mate. Two MMR at a time, eh? In the top right side of Berserker Esports, we are looking at the main base of our man from the UK. It is OpTiMiStC. In the top left side of Ghost River, we are looking at the main base of our man that is also making his debut. Two players that I believe have never played in the Big Brain Bouts before. Where do I find them? Don't ask me. But it's GamerRichy. A veteran and a great all-around guy. It is funny how we always start off every game with a 3 Rex and we say we've never seen the strategy lose. Now obviously we've seen it lose. But it does feel that the win record of the 3 Rex is very, very high. On different levels across the board. Doesn't really matter who we're watching. You ask a pro Terran what they think about the build, they will always say it's terrible, it's horrible, it's a free loss. Never do it. But whenever we see it, it always hits like a Volvo truck. Hiding a barracks in the corner of a main. Hey, this is the first time, by the way, guys, that OpTiMiStC actually goes for a Nexus before the Cybercore. These are little changes that I personally don't get mega excited over. Pro gamers do get very excited over these little things. To me, it doesn't change that much. It's like, alright, well, 1 or 2 more workers, later Cybercore, later this. But what I do find funny is that most of the time you have a player that either always does it or a player that never does it. I'm not that familiar with Protoss players who go Cybercore Nexus game 2 and then Nexus Cybercore game 3. I don't know if he was worried about something or if it's something specific about Ghost River that he really likes. I personally would never do that. For me, it's one or the other. Now, being unpredictable is important. This could be a starport, by the way. Whenever they hide it here, guys, I always feel like it's up to no good. Specifically a Volvo. Volvo trucks are built different, and the 3 Rex, it hits different. A Reaper into a second Reaper into a Cyclone as a few probes are making their way to the low ground. Honestly think if the Reaper would have gone for a probe immediately, good chance it gets it and it still gets out of there. Maybe if OpTiMiStC wants to play Adepts, he goes Cybercore Nexus, and if we want to go Stalkers from the get-go, we go Nexus into Cybercore. I guess that's what it is. Double Reaper. Eventually Stalker needs to fight a little bit, by the way. On the sense, walking back to safety and trying to get some backup from Stalker number 2. But if we just keep on running, we don't have any DPS. Shield battery not done yet, guys. And for Cyclone already here. GamerRichy is still on 1 base. But oh, if he gets a cancel on this battery, this could be really, really bad for OpTiMiStC. Every single Stalker shot on the Cyclone counts. But on Reapers and on the Reapers, it doesn't really do that much for you. At least the shield battery will finish up. Proxy starport is meant for a very early Liberator. Okay. Well, OpTiMiStC is going to be very happy that his shield battery finished up. Without his battery, the man would have been in trouble. I don't know about shooting on the rocks when the Terran is still here. Liberator is now going to siege up in the main base. These are scary and terrifying moments if you're a Protoss, because you just don't have too many units. You need to keep your shield battery alive. Oh, GamerRichy is making a little mistake with his Cyclone, but somehow it does not die. It's a tiny bit fortunate. Liberator is still around. Now he's gone for a Banshee. Liberator into Banshee over Proxy Starport. That is a play. Very cute spot to siege up your lip, even if it's not in range of the workers. A, you don't have to worry about F2. Our supply block, but command center is almost done, so it's not the worst supply block ever. We can also lose a Reaper, then we are no longer supply block. Blink is done on the side of the youngster. Very uncomfortable start. I think if you're a Protoss, not necessarily bad, but it is uncomfortable. Single Stalker, not good enough, by the way, to win the fight. So we lose the Stalker, we lose 2 workers. Do take care of the Liberator. Banshee is out now. Almost seems like we're waiting for a Cloak, as the second Reaper apparently died in the middle of nowhere. Not gonna get much done here. Ghost River is a very beautiful, strong defensive map in that regard. And a single tank here is gonna help in your main base, in your natural. Banshee has already shown up in the main. I actually don't really like that he has maybe all the Stalkers on the other side of the map. Now we're about to lose the Banshee for it's 10 seconds before Cloak. But obviously there is an observer here. What do we do now? Would have been a lot better to wait. If you just wait until Cloak is done, you activate Cloak, you fly in, you're gonna get 4 or 5 probes guaranteed. Revealing the Banshee right before Cloak is unfortunate. Cancelled it. Apparently we have cancelled Cloak at 99%, guys. But I don't hate that, because I don't think we want to build a second Banshee there. We know there is a Robo, we see that there is an Observer. So yeah. I guess in a weird way this investment has paid for itself. Big supply block on the side of OpTiMiStC, 70 out of 70. Building 2 pylons at once. I'm gonna build a reactor here. GamerRichy is gaming here, guys, in the Big Brain Bouts. These plays are all over the shop, as we are once more adding barracks number 4 and 5 before we go up to 3 bases. The man is gonna be aggressive. Ghost River is a sick map for tanks. It doesn't really matter if you're the defender or the aggressor. There's so many good tank spots at the bottom of the ramp, on the top side of the ramp, just on the wrong side of the rocks. Around this little pillar as well. Low HP back. No, we're gonna lose it. Why? Now you allow him to move the observer elsewhere. No, that's so silly. But it's okay. Hello, Cosmic. Welcome, matey. There are some moments where it's good. 14 worker lead on the side of our man. He's playing as the purple Protoss. But his army kind of sucks, but haven't been seen that before in this best of 5. And Alcyone also thought his army wasn't all that hot. He did not have Zealot charge. Tanks are indeed going to siege up. Taking out the rocks here is a play that will work out in GamerRichy's favor now, as one of the Stalkers was misrallied. It's going to be very difficult for OpTiMiStC to defend. It's not impossible. He's got Zealot charge, but he doesn't really have the right amount of Zealots yet. But all the tanks are on siege. Right when all the tanks on siege, that is when OpTiMiStC goes for the fight. Battery overcharge gets activated as well. That is so many dead Marines. But in the end, the tanks will live. The tanks get some really good shots off. With the final few Zealots getting on top of the tanks, I want to say that should be good enough. And you have 2 healthy Colossus. That should be good enough. 1 tank remaining, SCV repairing it. Oh, why do we unsiege all 3 tanks at once? Why do we unsiege all 3 tanks at once? GamerRichy. There was so much potential there. When he gave OpTiMiStC the fight that sweet Protoss dreams were made of. Battery overcharge active for the entirety of that fight. And Zealous getting on top of a couple of tanks that were in siege also allows the Stalkers to make an adventurous blink. allows the Colossus to go far forward and get on top of the Marines. Unfortunate. I feel like GamerRichy played pretty solid there, and I like this build. I like the execution. And he did so good with the tanks on Alcyone, where he didn't unsiege all of them. I guess he didn't see the Observer. That's the only explanation I have for that. He felt the Observer was not there. He thought he could just make an adventurous move with the tanks. Go a bit forward, get on top of the ramp, get in range of that battery. But the Observer was there. Vision, incredibly important in the game of Starcraft 2. I love you, man. Every time I hear the Allermooiste Rotstad, I think of you. I'm surprised you listen to that. You Dutch, René. I love you too, mate. I love that song. I haven't listened to it in a whole while. Because these days there's almost like no stream where I'm like, alright, let's delete the VOD and listen to some good music. But it is a banger, mate. I think I maybe put it on like once or twice in the last 12 months. Optimus is requesting 30 seconds before we can hop into Game 4 that will be played on Site Delta. So for a competitive series where it's pretty obvious both of them have a plan, have a certain way that they like to play. Could go either way, like this could have gone 3-0 for one, could have gone 3-0 for the other. I think the games were close and competitive enough for that. If Optimus sees the Trirex move out, he's gonna be fine. If GamerRichy takes a slightly better fight with the Marines on Alcyone, I think he would have been fine against the Colossus. And even here in the final game, if we don't unsiege all 3 tanks at once, it would have been okay-ish. Unfortunately, it is not.
Round 4. Fight!
In the bottom right side of Site Delta, we are looking at the main base of our UK Terran. Apparently a dead gamer. We have a couple of those among us. This is GamerRichy. On our last Friday night, before the biggest StarCraft event that has ever taken place. And it does feel a little magical. Top left side of Site Delta, we are looking at the main base of Berserker Esports, a very own OpTiMiStC. A young man from the UK, played a lot of StarCraft a while ago, was on Team Roddy. Said, I lost my passion, I'm gonna play some different video games. Played some different video games for a little while. But apparently, guys, they always come back to the one and only that doesn't go anywhere. I forgot what it was that he switched to. Because I said Valorant earlier, but I highly doubt that Valorant was out back then. But maybe it was. I think he just went to play Overwatch. But it's also kind of an odd moment to switch into Overwatch. Because I'm thinking of an era, maybe like 2021. And Overwatch was already out for years at that point. So I forgot what the man went off to play. It was not a MOBA, it was a shooting game. But it's good to see that he's back and he is playing some Stormgate. And we might get to see more of his Celestials. And I wish anyone the very best of luck playing against his Celestials on Jogma. All I know is that I will never ever do it again. Roddy, who's winning the Esports World Cup? A Zerg player from BASILISK. That is who's winning the Esports World Cup, mate. The Zergy from BASILISK is gonna win it all. We've got 2. One of them is gonna lift that trophy. And could put the other one, their player key, on the trophy. I think that is actually going to be very fun to speculate over. Did Basilisk hire Dark? No, Dark is on Talon Esports. Dark is very good. I think Dark can go far. An all Basilisk final, it would be magical. I know that some StarCraft fans would not be happy with that because here GVG, Grand Final, Best of 9, yada yada. I would love it, man. Who is Coffee Time? Coffee Time should not be a player. There is Coffee and there was Time. Time is now Olivera. As OpTiMiStC is, Adept guy, by the way, guys, is casually shades into the main base of GamerRichy. That is painful, because now all the SCVs are not doing what they are supposed to be doing. And of course, the entire build gets revealed. Oh. GamerRichy, mate. Maybe GamerRichy fuming a little bit over losing all those things the way that he did on Gulls River. This is painful. Take a look at the graph, guys. This deals so much economic damage. It's very early into the game, but it just deals a lot of economic damage. I mean, it doesn't have to be game over, but I would say out of all the PvTs that we've seen so far, we can really see that this is the best start that OpTiMiStC has had of any Protoss, including himself. And this is like game 6 or whatever. 7, I guess. First one was 3-1, this is 3-1. We see that very early 8 or 9 worker lead. So Coffee is a Chinese Terran mate. He's actually a roommate of Oliveira. They've been living together for a little while. Coffee went to IM Katowice 2 years ago, showed up and he defeated Zaun. And Zaun was considered to be one of the best, if not the best, Protoss coming into that tournament. And then a Chinese Terran, Coffee, casually beat him. But compared to almost everybody else in the field, Coffee is going to be a bit weaker. But it doesn't mean that he can't win a series. I think there are plenty of guys that he's going to be competitive with. And if he just has like 1 or 2 very gnarly builds for the lower bracket, that man can still make a sick play day. He's obviously never going to win it all, but he can absolutely still win a lot of money. Reaper is going to distract OpTiMiStC, but obviously I don't think that's going to accomplish a whole lot. Probe's a little bit clumped up though. First Widowmine fires at a worker that is next to the other one. And the second Widowmine shot didn't do anything. It's a little bit sad. I feel sad for GamerRichy. Games of Starcraft are obviously not necessarily decided at minute 2 or 3, but when you see an Adept shade into the main base like that, all the SCVs chasing it. If you're down 2-1 in a series, that is the absolute last way that you ever want to kick off game 4. And OpTiMiStC will obviously feel like, oh hey, that's a great start. And now I know what's up. Medevac is sitting here in the middle of nowhere. Blink is done, so it could die. Please don't lose it. He is gonna lose it too. It gave him a little bit of vision. We've got double tank. It's pretty well positioned and a bunker. I mean, we might be okay here. Economically, the game is not that bad right now because of the third orbital. I mean, OpTiMiStC does see everything that he needs to see. Which is a bit surprising because there's a Raven in the mix. You might wonder, why is there an observer in the main when there is a Raven out on the map? That I don't know. Adding 3 more wrecks. That's a little bit odd. You don't normally go from 3 up to 6 barracks, but maybe something has just gone like a tiny bit wrong in the build order of GamerRichy. He's only now starting Stim. It's 7 minutes into the game. Starting Stim and Combat Shield. Kinda feels that our man from the UK is saying, you know what? I didn't like the start. I didn't like my Widowmine drop. I'm gonna be greedy. I'm gonna hope that I can get away with it. I hope my opponent does not attack me. He can't really see that I don't have Stim. He can see that I don't have Combat Shield, but that doesn't necessarily tell everything. Tell the entire story. Double Forge coming out of OpTiMiStC. He's gonna obviously make his Protoss army a bit more powerful down the line, but we also have double eBay and an armory already coming online. Yeah. OpTiMiStC showing crazy amounts of respect to what GamerRichy has been doing in this game. I kind of felt this is the kind of game where the Protoss could have made a bunch of Stalkers, Zealots and A-moves. Hello, Faded. Thank you. Thank you. Will do. Terran indeed up in workers. Yeah, obviously with nothing happening. I don't think GamerRichy had any business getting his hands on the third base on location as early as he did. when you don't have Steam, Combat Shield, upgrades, like the man had 0-0 bio without anything. But Optimus has played this very, very cautious. And by playing it so cautious, it kind of feels that we have let them go of the lead a little bit. Thank you, Anubis Fair, for the 45 months. Yeah. Richie has been very aggressive throughout the best of 5. In this game, we opened up with something that could have been aggressive. In the end, said, alright, triple CC. Took it very early. Like, the man should have been A-moved. Honestly, a little bit illegal to take a third base on location against a Blink Stalker player when we've got 0-0 bio with no upgrades. But okay. We got away with it. And it does set the stage for a fun little PvT here, where both players should be able to get a lot of units, hopefully are able to multitask a little bit. A couple of different fights back and forth. Plenty of bases, that's for sure. 4th base on location as well. Oh, this is gonna be tough. Both players around 5,500, sometimes higher, sometimes lower. It kind of depends how well they're playing. I think very peak Optimist a long time ago when he was on Team Roddy, when everybody's MMR was a little bit higher. I'd say it was maybe like 5.8, 5.9. And I think GamerRichy has been above 6k a long time ago, but it's really hard to stay there. I would say right now 5,500 is pretty accurate. Bit of a passive game. We're 11 minutes in, and other than throwing away a unit here, there, everywhere, not a whole lot has happened yet. We have a auto turret being dropped. The armies are thinking of a move out. Optimus sets up a big old Zealot run by. Could potentially turn into a surround planetary. It's not quite done yet. That's a beautiful moment for the man from the UK to get on top of this planetary. But GamerRichy is here, however, for the second time in this series. The man eats an absolutely monstrous Purification Nova to the face, as he is busy right now dealing with Zealots in the natural, in the main base, and a big army on top of his 4th. Has killed a couple of workers as well, but nowhere near as many as he's losing. Does still have a good army. Was not ready, guys, for this Zealot party in the natural, in the main base. Yeah. It's a bit painful. 40 SCVs have died. It just kind of feels that GamerRichy is not quite certain where he should put his units. Finally, we have taken care of that War Prism. The bio units will take care of the final few Zealots. But I think all that we have left is one final push. We are barely a 3-base Terran. The Raven gets picked up as well. Now, we didn't have Interference Matrix, so that was not going to save us. But the way that GamerRichy has handled Purification Novas throughout the series is not going to give me a lot of hope that 94 Army Supply can get the job done here. A bit of an odd game where not a whole lot happened. GamerRichy got away with murder, but he did not have an answer. 4 Zealots in 3 different bases and a main army. GG gets skulled. Another one for the young guys as Optimus, on his debut in the Big Brain Bouts, walks away with $80, getting the victory over GamerRichy. I think a bit of a frustrating series for GamerRichy. This is probably one of these series where he felt it just didn't really go his way, and sad about the tanks on Ghost River. First game as well, felt like we had such a good setup that fight could and perhaps should have gone his way. But sometimes it is just not your day, and today was not the day of GamerRichy. Optimus played well though. It's good to see that the young man still has it. And I am sure that you guys will see a lot more of him. Either in Starcraft 2, or maybe in a game like Stormgate. Because obviously there's a reason why I put him on Team Roddy a long time ago. I think it's like almost 2.5, 3 years ago. I've been doing Team Roddy for too long at this point. And that's because I believed in him, I believed in his skills, and I think even after a long time away from the game, he's showing us that he's still pretty damn good at RTS. Thank you so much to Basilisk for A, the series, and B, the 10 gifted subbies. And we're gonna go ahead and settle that prediction. And get ready for a banger of a ZVZ. two players that I think are absolutely top 10 Zergs in Europe. GG's, matey. Yeah. It felt like it was one of these series where it could have all been so different. With one or two different decisions, it really could have been all so different. But OpTiMiStC is good. We'll get him next time, mate. Mixu versus Nick H. Best of 5 ZVZ. Co-main. 100 for the winner and 25 for the loser. Last time we had Mixu playing a ZVZ in the Big Brain Bouts. It was one of the best series that I think I ever got to cast on the Friday night. It was against OpTiMiStC, who is a really good Zerg, but it's not quite as good as Nick H. But those games were just so fun. They started battling at minute 3. And it kind of felt that they battled for like 22 minutes straight. And then Mixu won. And then OpTiMiStC won. And Mixu won. And OpTiMiStC won. I honestly think that could very well be my favorite best of 5 in history. When I asked Mixu about this one, he said, well, ZVZ is tough, but I give it my best. I was like, yeah, that's the point, mate. If it's not tough, I am not doing a good job. So I think this is a very, very difficult one to predict. Hello. I just saw DJ's message. I figured DJ. That does not surprise me. Alright, so tiny break, guys, and then we're going to hop into our third series of the night. A ZVZ between, in my eyes, let's say, the 7th and 8th best Zerg player in Europe. So, 7th and 8th best Zerg in Europe. That's how I see this. It's going to be a banger. I'll see you guys soon.